Hey LAN Party Gamers, today is a big day here at SDLHQ. We're going to actually be putting solar panels up on the south side of the house, and it's going to reduce obviously our carbon footprint, but also with all the LAN computers and office stuff that we run out here, it's going to make a big difference in our monthly bills. So today they're just unloading everything from the back of the truck, finding where the main comes in from the street so that they can route exactly what they need to do. And we're just gonna get some cool shots of them setting up and getting ready for those solar panels to arrive here today. Stay tuned, and this is kind of inspiring me to maybe do our own solar panel project on the studio. So stay tuned for that too. We'll sort of learn something from the pros before we do our own thing. Should be pretty cool. Stay tuned. Well, by the end of day 2, they've got 40 solar panels on the top of the house, and that's a lot of work for 2 days. So I hand it to these guys. They work hard, but they're really friendly, and they come and go. I haven't been worrying about anything. They do their stuff, and then they close the gate when they're done, and they put all their tools away and stuff like that. There is some equipment here that they'll be installing later. We've got some conduit, some things for the roof, some maybe some grounding wire and stuff like that, and then some old tile that we had up there that broke that they replaced for us. So that was cool. They even replaced some of the tile that broke when I went up on the roof to do some tree snipping to keep the tree out of the work area. So anyway, I'm gonna keep filming each step of the process, and for now it gives me ideas of what we can do with these old Harbor Freight solar panels I had set up next to the shed. I'm thinking about putting them actually on the top of the YouTube studio in the backyard, putting the battery in there, because eventually they're gonna have to turn off the power to the house to make the system work towards the end, which means we're gonna have to run the office on generators, and it'd be nice to have some power on that day specifically if we need to use the studio. The battery pack can run lights, it can charge phones, it's got a big old DC AC inverter, and you know, it'd just be nice for emergencies to have a dedicated power source in that guest house basically, to supplement the power that it would have normally received from the house. So I think that's what I'm going to do with these triple solar panels set up here that I got from Harbor Freight many years ago, and maybe sort of make this my catalyst and learn something from the pros to implement it on our own. So a new day, another task, and what I've been tasked with is moving everything off of this wall behind me, which is where we have all the Nintendos, the Xerox, the motherboard wall, and basically making it bare wall, because the guys that are coming to install the inverters, the new box for the side of the house with all the breakers on it, the breaker panel, they need this basically bare so that they can get to the incoming lines from all the bedrooms and things that are up here, move them over to this side, and then reinstall the panels, install the inverters for the solar panels to go into it. And they need a lot of space, a lot more space than is afforded to them in the current panel area. So they're gonna move it behind our fence. We also have to move this AC unit. So this is the wall that they're gonna put all the new equipment on, and basically the AC unit has to be moved all the way over to the barrier of this door to allow enough space to work on this wall without the AC unit getting in the way. So we have a guy coming out tonight. He's gonna take it out. He's going to move it out of the way. Then tomorrow morning those guys are going to come in and put their work in, and then the AC guy is going to move this back to where it can be so it's not obstructing that. So we'll see how that goes. Well, the guys are back out here doing their thing. We're going to cut down some trees and make room for the trench that's going to be dug, that's going to have all of our new lines from the street and backed out to the street. And they're also digging out the wall to put in those transformers we talked about before.
well, that's been about a week of work and the guys are all done. They've installed these transformers here, which give us our power from the panels up on the roof, and they transform that into AC. We need 2 of them for how many panels we're using. Those go into their controller box and then also into the main panel here. Now this has to get an okay from STG&E, and they actually install the lines from the street. As you can see here, this is what they dug into the house. So they cut that out. This is a giant trench that goes underneath. Let's see if we can open this up. There we go. So that's all the dirt from the trench. So you can imagine this trench is several feet deep, and it's a big hole that goes all the way out into the main area on the street. So that goes all the way to the street, and that means as soon as SDG&E comes out here and approves the panel and everything else, the digging, the location, they're gonna have to shut the power down to the house and hook this up to be what provides the house with power and remove the older one from the other side of the fence. So obviously that means we got to get ready to have the power shut down, which means we're going to test the generator and possibly figure out how to mount my old solar panels that I bought as a kit years ago to the top of my work shed, so in the event that I need it, I can work out there even with the power out, not just for this week but in the future, just in case. That's where we're at, and time to test some generators. First try. So we figured out these solar panels are like 25 watts each, and they do like 50 volts. So if we want to go straight over, I figure all the wires should end up in the middle. There we go. Nice weatherproof box. Power coming from the roof, going down into the studio where we've got it plugged into the controller, which controls the inverter and the lights. So we go from the outside of the building that I showed you earlier, through the hole in the wall, and into this controller. This controller shows us exactly how much energy we're receiving, or the level of the battery that's below the desk. We also have this 750 watt inverter, which has got 2 AC 120 volt power plugs, as well as a 5 volt for your phone or other device. What's also interesting about this is it uses these adapters. They look like plugs for your guitar amp, but they're actually for our emergency lighting. And with these plugged in and turned on, you actually have these devices, which, as you'll see in a minute, produce a decent amount of light. Let's check it out with the door closed.
So you want to just turn it off and back on?
So off, and with the emergency lights, not too shabby. I'm happy about that. And we've got this long, 30 amp extensions on the side. So this is going to the generator. That's gonna take UPS as we have it. And if you follow me, so the power's out, as you can see, because my computer's running. The phones are still. I know is I try to turn it, won't turn on. So job UPSs. And everything is good. So they're pulling all of the lines now from the rest of the house into this breaker panel. Okay, so it's the Monday after the power switch, and we've had power for the whole weekend. We even had a LAN party last night, yesterday, and no power issues, so it's pretty safe to say we can get the concrete back in. So that's what the guys are doing now. This is the line that they dug
earlier for the from the street, and now they're filling it back in. Almost there. All right, guys, here's a big moment. They're getting the stucco ready, and the inspector's here. He's gonna turn on the solar. Let's do it.
That's a quick disconnect, I guess. It's going that way.
And it went faster now because of that clicking in.
It's going way faster.
Excuse me, let me get here out of the way.
Flying though.
All right, well, today we're going to be taking out all the old pegboard that they had to remove to get to the inside panels. There is also some conduit and pipes from the original garage, as well as like the pipe that held all the network cables that led over to the Nintendo section of the garage. We're going to put that on the inside of the wall and just make the wall really clean looking. Take all the surface mounted, conduit ran boxes for power and put them behind boards, cut them out so that everything looks clean. And it's going to look kind of like the other side of the garage. And if you saw our previous video where we actually built the garage to begin with, it's going to be kind of like that process where we're putting up new walls. So it's going to be quite the process, but I think it's going to look great. So there's a 3D printed one, and I might 3D print this one because it's starting to crack when I screw it in. So this one's a lot thicker and has some give. So I think I'll re-3D print this one too. Well, I think the wall came out pretty good looking, and we'll probably put the motherboards back up here. Maybe fill this out with some posters and things. But for now, we just got the call, and they're ready to get us going with the phone app, which is really cool. We'll be able to see live exactly what the solar panels are doing. But they want to charge us extra, I guess, for the cell phone connectivity. Basically, they don't use Wi-Fi. They use 3 or 4G. And we don't really want to pay for an extra phone plan. They do, however, have an option for wired Ethernet. And for most households, well, that's going to be an issue. But for us, I mean, I've got a 24-port gigabit switch right here, and we can run network cables up through the rafters and straight out the top of that wall and down into the inverters. So we're going to make some network cables, I guess, and make sure that the app works. I'm excited to see what that looks like. So apparently I'm only supposed to use one of these per panel, and then I'm supposed to connect the one that's configured as the master through the pipe to this BAG port with a Cat5 with just 3 wires to make this one the slave, so it only uses up one of my IP addresses. So I ran 2 lines kind of for nothing, but so I'm going to cut this one out, and then I'm going to slave this one off of this one and leave that network cable there plugged into here. Well guys, I'm pretty much done editing this video, and I just had some final thoughts. We got the final bill in for August. To keep in mind, this is with 1 week short of a full month, with the exact same amount of energy used as previous August, and our bill went from $780 plus down to $80 plus. So that's a $700 savings, and I have no doubt that with that extra 7 days that we missed from not having the beginning of the month start on the 1st, we would have had a 0 bill, and that is fantastic. Obviously during the day we're sending some electricity into the grid, and at night we're using the credit we received during the day to make up the difference, and it's showing like the estimates they gave us for the amount of panels we have might have been right on the money. A couple other things: we've got the solar connectors obviously set up between the two, so we're daisy chaining, and they're both being shown, but we don't have the app quite yet. They have to set us up with a username and password. But I can see on, if I go into them via IP address, because they're on our LAN, that I can see all 20 solar panels are running, how much electricity is being used at a time and being generated, and things of that nature. So that's pretty cool that I can just type in an IP address into my Explorer window or my Chrome tab and see that right off the bat without the app. So that's pretty cool. Sorry for some of the audio issues that were in when we were having the power outage and we had the cables being ran to the server rack. It truncated the audio, but the video was left at normal speed, so every few words were cut off. So if you notice that, again, I apologize for that on the audio side of things, but that's pretty much it, I think, for the solar panels. Everything turned out really good. I'm super pleased how this kind of made us revamp that one side of the garage that had all the cables running down it, all the pipes on it, all that old pegboard's gone, and just seeing how much better that looks makes me excited to have more events in the garage. So hopefully we see you guys out using some of this new solar power we've got. Maybe one day we'll get a battery, maybe not, just depends on how metering goes and things of that nature and how well this works out for us. And if you guys want to see how much this does for us over a longer period, as we exit the summer months, as we're using the AC less and less, we might not need as much solar panel, especially if we're no longer doing the big 3-day lands here at the house. Maybe there's something to view on that front, and maybe that extra power could be stored somehow. So if you're interested in that, let me know down in the comments, and we appreciate you guys being here for the ride. Make sure you come over for some lands here and help us use up some of the solar power we're generating, and you can always see when we're going to be doing our next events at SanDiegoLAN.net, and we hope to see you guys subscribe to this channel for more interesting, some computery, some house rebuilding, basically whatever tech stuff that we're filming that day. We hope to see you guys here for that. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.